Hey, everybody, welcome to our once again the open session for KGB project. So yeah, I think we have two people excused themselves from attending today, and previous was skipped again due to attendance issues. But so I'd like to maybe to have this one pretty short, really focused on the what we have left. If we have something to say there, let's discuss. If not, let's just skip it if it requires someone's feedback, and then we can probably ask in maintainers chat. But anyway, or in the issues. Let me just share the screen quickly so we can go through the agenda. Yeah. Please let me know if you can see the screen.
Yeah, I can see.
Awesome. Yeah, and I can try to make it bigger. Okay, so I just copy pasted some stuff from I think 1st of November, and I scratched out the things that we've done, action points. I think we can probably discuss them if we have time for that. We had one proposal from, I think, from Yuri to discuss in agenda, bet that he was not able to join, but I think we can go through it. We also have, I think, two outstanding things on adopters and security slam quotes. I think so. This should be done. But yeah, let's check first the questions from the user. Let me know if you see them. So one of the questions, so the questions were about how KGB behaves with regards to high availability, and the first question was that yeah, how the KGB website, how KGB behaves when the complete cluster goes down, and if like DNS server notified by other instance of the KGB, that all traffic needs to be routed to the remaining cluster. So I think from that point of view, if whole cluster goes down, there is only, I think, one. I mean, if other cluster leaves, right, and if KGB runs there, so the controller after some time, I think, should figure out if like the health of the, that there's no another controller runs on the external cluster, like external geotag.
Yeah, is the same as the application, like the dismissed or is broken?
So I think if we refer to,
KGB detects that and starts to provide the addresses from the remaining clusters.
So the question is like how, I guess, how fast it will happen that core DNS is actually the DNS endpoints will get updated and as well, like in coordinates as well,
Yeah,
reconfigured to reindex it to serve only the ones from like the first cluster. I guess since we are making the since we are trying to resolve to the core DNS, right, through the exposed port. So if core DNS is unreachable, what happens in that site?
Well, we have like two things which we are waiting. First one is like on our side, and second thing is on the client side, because we are not doing the traffic load balancing. We are doing the DNS load balancing. So the client has using the DNS resolver, and this DNS resolver have to refresh the cache, because it's probably system to system and depends. I doubt that DNS request goes with each like HTTP request, So this is like one side. The second thing is like on the our side, and basically we are limited by reconciliation loop. So we have this reconciliation timeout at least. Plus we have some triggers. If something has changed within the endpoint or ingress or whatever, these triggers are automatically executed. And the longest period of time, which is probably what this customer is asking for, is configured within the KGB configuration. So it is, I think, by default 30 seconds or something like that.
So if basically the second cluster gets down, so first thing from the HDNS point of view, we are not able to reach out to resolve the records for the authoritative zone, right? So they should be actually, I guess at some point. So my question is like, if we have like an S record, right? We have the server listed there, and we're unable to resolve using this service. Like, do we remove them or?
Yeah, I think we
Or is it done by
actualization.
actually by like here, because we are trying to resolve those through the HDNS.
Because there is some update delegation zone, and upgrade delegation zone goes through each cycle. And if both clusters are running, both of them are doing these like update zone delegation. But if one cluster is off, in this case would be, for instance, European one, the US remains. So it means that during when the US cluster runs the reconciliation, it will check the health status of the other clusters and set the zone delegation for its own core DNS. And core DNS contains the addresses of the remaining clusters.
Yeah, so it will eventually update the NS record only with the IP addresses for that cluster.
Yeah. And the point is that basically it's not just about if cluster is removed. It is also if the application is somehow broken or whatever. It's not just the cluster itself. It's also
when application is broken, that's
because we have
currently
states like unhealthy and not found, and probably this goes to not found state.
So I think they with the application broken, that is kind of simple or like then scaled. Then we start, I think, until the NS record gets updated from this core DNS service, we receive an X domain, because if we have 0 records, we return an X domain for these addresses for that FQDN, because there's nothing to. So the controller actually updates the DNS endpoint. It removes the corresponding record, and then core DNS actually answers with an X domain.
Yeah.
And then like for some time, and then when the corresponding NS record gets updated, these coordinates are removed out of the question. Well, I'm just thinking. No, I think for the application, it doesn't, because I mean, they are still resolving, right? I mean, they're still functioning, and there are other workloads there. So we actually not. So they keep returning an X domain, and for that authoritative zone. So it's just that eventually this one gets resolved using the right one.
Basically, it doesn't matter which one is retrieving the addresses, because both core DNS has the list of all healthy applications. So if application is down, the DNS server here is just, you can imagine it like just like a router which routes to the one of the core DNS, no matter which one, and both of them retrieves you the IP addresses of all available applications within the cluster space, no matter how many clusters you have.
So and that's one. But I think the user was asking what happens when the whole cluster goes down, right? So which is pretty valid scenario. Like it can be similar to the cluster got disconnected, or like out of the. I mean, something happens with networking, so that cluster is not reachable, because
basically we are not able to hit the NS record, which let's say the European cluster is down. We cannot hit the European NS domain, so it doesn't retrieve the list of the IP addresses. So this core DNS on the US side will retrieve only the IP addresses from the rest of the cluster, which is the US.
Okay, so I think it. So we can, I guess.
I sent you the video for the CNCF. This video is private, and I'm explaining there this scenario when what is happening with those core DNS stuffs, etc. There is one slide for that, the different picture than I presented before. So for this, it's on our slide, and this is like the private video.
But I think we might want to update that, like with the flow, right? What happens?
I just look into the code, just not to speculate on these things. And because I was always thinking there is the heartbeat mechanism that the clusters keep refreshing those tapes to records on the HDNS level, like basically doing the keep alive scenario. But this is only implemented for info blocks, so this mechanism kind of is different when it comes to info blocks as a HDNS solution, or something else in the case of WS.
And I think for info blocks, we had that split brain kind of prevention, but it's not.
The cluster keeps updating.
We actually removed that, at least like it's deprecated.
Okay. The code is still there.
Yeah, but I think it still should be. We're still trying to resolve and update with the IP addresses, like these both controllers, right? They're trying to update using like the addresses of the resolvers. But anyway, I think we should it's a valid question that we should reflect this and make it clear for users what happens in certain scenarios, because this is what they want to know, like exactly with regards to their scenarios. Now, and can the solution be applied in scenarios when there's only a single Kubernetes cluster in HA setup, but where some of the nodes are distributed geographically? Two nodes are on VS, but the primary DNS needs to be updated because clients might not be able to reach the data center as entry point anymore. I don't think that we goes down if quorum is preserved. So I think I'd like this kind of question. I think we should yeah, go through deeply what what is meant about two nodes, that the nodes of the cluster are separate. And I think there's not just I think we're deploying. We don't have any kind of clustering support for KGB. And briefly, if there's a problem to get from one node to another, because the nodes are distributed geographically, and this is more kind of networking questions rather than DNS or KGB.
I think
Dino
it's
has
pretty
some-
simple because we don't support such a case, right?
Yeah.
We don't do one cluster failover thing. We just assume multiple clusters, and that's our use case. So
Yeah, exactly.
misconception, basically.
Mhm.
And so that's 1.2. 2.1. Yeah, so the answer was found that we actually able, yeah, all external DNS compliant providers are available. So I think with that 2.1, the answer is yes with a pinch of salt, because we have to implement. I mean, they're theoretically possible, right? But we have to be we have to support them in the Helm charts and so on, particular configuration values for them. So it's not like you can pick, let's say, I don't know, Cloudflare, and then provide, say, hey, this is supported. So you definitely might need some API keys or whatever to be wired through our Helm chart. So they need some minimal work. And 2.2, does KGB support? Okay, does C DNS like 0.9? Yeah, no, but 2.3, does KGB support multiple IPs as DNS? Meaning, if the primary DNS is currently down, then try updating the record on the second, third EDC. So I something like rings the bell. I think Yuri was creating an issue.
That was my first issue in the team, so I did that, but it wasn't properly tested because we don't have like CI environment with multiple HDNS servers. So in theory, it should work.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because I got it as a good first issue. It was to me, it's kind of advanced thing, right? Not as a good thing to have a good first issue, but I did that, but I never tested properly. Like, so, yeah.
Okay, so then then but not kind of tested. So
Well, yeah, I remember we have a quite good like test coverage here. I remember you did, and yeah, this
These
is
are only unit tests, right? This doesn't mean anything, right? We haven't tested it in a real environment. That's what counts.
Yeah.
I think there was also something support multiple gene. Okay. So this is another one. Okay. So I think we support, so that's another kind of thing that we support multiple HDNS servers by certain type, right? But we don't kind of support a kind of flexible setting of, let's say, of the HDNS server like a one type or another type, right? So we don't support, let's say that one DNS HDNS server is, let's say, Route 63, another one is Azure DNS and things like this. We don't have like we assume that these are the same the DNS so that our clusters, they sit on one environment, right? But if we think about a hybrid environment, let's say with some, I don't know, Infoblocks running on-prem or NS1 and Azure DNS running on the cloud, I think we don't support that.
I can add to it something. It was done by me, but only as in a read-only mode. So when resolving the IP addresses, it's in place. Basically, this file.
Yeah, because we just need DNS HDNS to resolve, right?
If we are writing these records, exactly, it's only the first one. That one which is configured external DNS is being updated. So it's like halfway through. Like the read is there, but writing those DNS, like updating those records, is not there because it's basically feature for external DNS. If it can allow updating multiple HDNS servers. Not sure about it.
Okay. Cool. So in that case, okay, I'll just mention it here, and I'll find and mention your change as well. Okay. Okay. So on adopters, I think we for security slime quotes, I think we need to check with Yuri if this was published. For adopters, I actually asked like on AppSys site, and I think we have a green light even for being like displayed with in materials that requires a proper branding. I think adopters doesn't require that, the way it's just a customer story. But I still need to run through the approval on the AppSys site so that we can include the apps experience in the adopters ND, and then we can add, of course, the other users from community, so that we can actually celebrate our success and become more visible. So I'm not sure if we have any other updates on the
one topic, short one. That's the renovate PR, because currently there is like huge mess in our PRs because of the dependable. So there is that PR is pending, and you made a comment on it that it should kind of wait for the results of CLO stuff, the security slam. But
Yeah.
so we don't have update on that. Like we don't know when it is being evaluated, or because it's kind of not blocks us, but it makes the contribution very
Can you
unpleasant, I
please?
would say.
Yes. Can you please? Yeah, I remember. I was like, I was thinking that yeah,
At Renovate.
there is something on you, and to make sure like that SLO thing is pleased. But yeah, because like
Yeah, I'm not
it's
sure how
already
to make
there.
sure that it's pleased, because
Mhm.
the evaluation is done online. There is an upstream project called Scorecard, right? That
Mhm.
you can install locally and run the test. And as I'm aware, it doesn't affect if you use Renovate or Dependabot. It doesn't make such a check, so we should be good in this way. But I can be like 100% sure. CLO monitor linter. I know it was Scorecard, right? Is it something different? I'm not sure. I think it's emailed in general.
Yeah, so my understanding is that this was okay, all checks have passed. So we actually, yeah, we okay, we moved. So I think we can proceed with this one, right? To me.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm using it on my different project. I'm much more happier with this one.
Yeah, I'm happy to approve it, and so we can go, and because yeah, I'd also like to have all the stuff from Dependabot to disappear. Yeah.
Yeah, and one more thing about CI, it's currently falling on some stupid things like linter, and I think one of the reason was our work on CLO monitor thingy, because I think some permissions were not set properly for GitHub workers,
And I think that's why
yeah.
I think Yuri has commented that we need the cell monitor linter to be sure to run, to be sure we don't break our fancy rating.
Oh, it's something different. Actually, he broke it. He broke it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The thing is, why is it green? It's being green because it doesn't trigger the full like proper CI, right? Because it's only a manifest and not the code itself. So we have like whitelist if it's a Go code or not, and if it's Go code, the full pipeline